It's 5:30 and I'm calling this meeting to order. First, a reminder that meetings of the Select Board are meetings conducted in public. They are not meetings of the public. Nonetheless, members of the public shall be afforded reasonable opportunities to express opinions about matters conducted by the Select Board so long as order is maintained. The rules for public comment are, at the conclusion of a Select Board discussion on an agenda item, but before any action is taken, there may be 10 minutes afforded to public comment. Comments made by the public must be addressed to the chair, to the Select Board as a whole, and not to any individual members of the Select Board or members of the public. Members of the public must be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. If a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, they shall not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Order and decorum shall be maintained throughout the meeting. Personal, impertinent, threatening, or profane remarks will not be tolerated. For those who are participating via Zoom, please note that chat is not an appropriate avenue for public comment. All public comments must be made verbally when acknowledged by the chair. Please silence all cell phones, and a reminder to all that this meeting is being recorded and may appear on the internet. So are there any adjustments to the order of the agenda?
There are two.
Okay.
So item 8F. and
Yep.
Item 9A1.
Yep.
Can you move that to executive session, please?
Okay, so, yep. So those are going down. Okay. And also, we're going to have a presentation by Green Mountain Power because we forgot to put that on the agenda. We're going to do that under public comment, and then in 2 weeks, we're going to, assuming that we all agree, we're going to sign the paperwork so that they can go back up. They've made a special trip down here. Anybody else have any adjustments to the order of the agenda? Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes on June 26, 2024.
Make a motion to approve the minutes, June 26, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of June 26, 2024. Are there any changes? Any changes? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next is, oh, you have to
I
abstain.
have to abstain because
Okay.
I wasn't there.
Right. You were not there. Okay, so the next one is the warrants to the treasurer.
Make a motion to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review.
A second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review. Karen?
Payroll warrant dated July 12th, 2024 in the amount of $24,448.08.
Anything?
The only comment I have here is that July 1st, where raises went into effect. So it's a little bit higher, but based on compensation increases.
Okay, anybody have questions on payroll?
I'll just put it out there, I have a check on here for my business for the town mowing.
Okay.
I abstained myself from that vote, and the select board did it to approve the contract.
Okay. All right. Moving on to accounts payable.
Accounts payable dated June 29th through July 12th, 2024 in the amount of $100,035.49. So this warrant includes $25,000 to Renault Brothers for the remainder of the box culvert for Westminster Road. There are monthly contracts in here. Again, July 1st, increases in some of these with the sheriff's department. Some assessments too that are quarterly. Let's see. But nothing really like,
This is the one that you meant, right? Or,
No,
are you on both?
the contractor or the vendor.
Okay,
And then I'm on, I'll put it out here again, I'm on
You're
there
on
for the
both
fire
pages.
department hours, which
Okay.
have nothing to do with payroll,
Right.
so.
okay. All right.
Karen, when it says the vendor is taxpayer, I don't need to know the specifics of this transaction, but what does that mean?
So the taxpayer, that means they have a credit, so
How does
they,
that arise?
because so in our system in NEMRIC, we can run reports, and if somebody's overpaid, instead of holding that money, because we don't have any new tax rate yet,
It's
we,
So they overpaid their taxes?
yes, they did,
It's usually like if the state payment comes through or the current use, something like that,
yeah, or they just,
or they just overpaid.
they overpaid,
Huh.
so we give it
That
back.
almost never happens to me.
Well, it doesn't happen to me either. But when we start billing again, Fletcher, you'll see quite a few. Because what does happen is their money's either escrowed, right? It gets paid, that homestead exemption comes in, they overpay, and then we're crediting back.
Not to go too far afield, but where are we on the process of?
We're gonna talk about that in my town manager's
Terrific,
report.
thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed? All right, moving on to public comments on items not on the agenda. Does Select Board have anything? Okay, before we open it up to the actual public, I do want to invite GMP to come and talk about their presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Justin, I'm the local guy in the Westminster office. This is Tim. He's the
Program manager.
yeah. Budget guy. So, got some exciting things happening. We're gonna rebuild the line from the Pepsi plant up through, like we talked about last time.
Yeah.
That falls under a 111 permit for the state, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But we're also gonna be rebuilding Westminster Road, a section of that, and up West Hill. And those two projects are in the folder there, and they're gonna require you guys' signature to do so. Tim can kind of speak on the higher level of what it is we're trying to accomplish here statewide.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for accommodating us tonight, much appreciated. As Justin said, Tim Jones from Montpelier, I'm program manager in the transmission and distribution group. So making the rounds to most of the select boards in the southern half of the state over the past year, just to kind of share our reliability and resiliency upgrade projects that we're doing across a number of communities. In particular, Justin noted, we're in addition to rebuilding up and down Route 5 here up into Westminster, we also have some local projects that fall outside of that state highway jurisdiction. And so in the town's purview, we'll need your permission, your sign off under Title 30 to work in the town road rights of way. So just a little bit of context for these two rebuild projects. They're rebuilding in place. Traditionally, they probably would have required some deeper permitting or at least a look at Act 250, but currently we are under an exemption from Act 250 for this type of profile of project until 2026. And so rebuilding in place in the road corridor is sort of the typical profile that we go to. And in this case, both of those projects meet that exemption criteria. One caveat being that we appear before the local select board, share the project, get your sign off, and that becomes our de facto permission to go forward and build these projects.
Okay. So are you burying these lines or are you just rebuilding them?
These ones are going to be
These are going to be rebuilt overhead. This is the main three-phase backbone of
Okay.
the system.
Do you know, can you explain why it's exempt from Act 250?
We got the utilities in general were granted an exemption 2 years ago. So last year was our first construction season. This is the second one. So it was this work that we had done with the legislature to profile a type of project that would be rebuilt in existing disturbed areas, i.e. the road right of way being that sort of number one go-to that we have. So a lot of our lines are roadside, and Act 250 sort of have this substantial change clause to it. So even rebuilding in place would sometimes trigger Act 250 based on, you know, changing pole heights or span lengths or any number of things like that. But sort of, so the exemption is centered on if we're rebuilding in the existing corridor, that's a project that we can claim our exemption on, even if we might be, you know, changing the style of the conductor, which in this case we're going from open wire to Hendrix. So we're bringing our highest and most advanced, I guess you could say, storm hardening here and replacing aging plant. So that's sort of the profile of a project that we used as sort of an example to get into this exemption. So that's why.
Any questions?
Yeah, can you explain more about the hardening of the system against weather, I suppose you're talking about?
Correct.
Just give us a little bit more information, because I don't know very much about it.
Sure, Justin can speak a little bit more. Obviously, he's familiar with the plant locally, but storm hardening would be, I think, taking this plant that's, you know, probably 40 plus years old, shorter poles, open wire. Now we're going to a taller pole, a 50-foot pole, and changing that to 477 spacer or Hendrix wire, as we describe it. And so that becomes more of a sort of a diamond pattern with a steel cable over the top of it. So, you know, not only is the wire coated, has better resiliency in that way, can take tree strikes and so forth, but then adding this other layer of steel cable over the top is another sort of defense for that, and also allows us to, you know, kind of scale back our trimming a little bit once we sort of get into that space. So it's a little bit more resilient against tree strikes. So that's the storm hardening overhead.
And how much higher are they than?
So average pole right now is between 35 and 45 feet. Most of them run in the 40-foot range. The spacer cable construction that he's talking about, the minimum that's allowed is a 50-foot pole. So we're going to go up 10 feet.
And the idea is to get above the tree line, is that?
Well, that's part of it, but
Okay.
another part of it is to make space for third-party attachments on, like your phone and your cable that all go below it. There's special real estate there. There's only a certain amount, so the higher we go, the more real estate we give for the communications that are trying to bump up their system as well.
Okay. Other questions on the board?
Did someone say that there was a proposal?
It's on
It's
entry.
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's a map and
a map, yeah, I just was curious where.
It's two separate projects, so there's two separate maps in there. But yeah. And we are going to be bearing some line too, but it's not going to be the main line. It's going to be in the outskirts, kind of like we talked about last time.
Okay, so
Still
it's
working.
not, yeah, so it's not the main drag that you're doing that on there?
No,
Like,
no.
one-offs, okay. That's a start. Are there comments in the room? Questions in the room about this? Questions online? About this project? Sense of the board, are we probably agreeable? So we can put it on our agenda next 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Would you like me to come in 2 weeks for that?
If you want to, I think we'll be good, but
All right.
I don't think we'll require you to come.
Okay.
And thank you very much for taking your time, even though we didn't
Yeah,
put you on
no
the
problem.
agenda.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Mission accomplished. We're happy to
Yeah.
share our project. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
Sure, all
guys.
right.
Have a great
Thank you
night.
very
Thank
much. All right, so now we're back into public comment. Are there public comments in the room, Jeanette?
Yeah, Jeanette White, as your representative to Rescue, I just wanted to remind you of the, I think I announced it last week, last meeting, that there is a golf tournament happening in September.
Yeah.
But I am working with the board to try to get sponsors, whole sponsors. I don't know if you know about golf tournaments, but you gotta have whole sponsors. And that's where
You
you
sponsor for a hole.
sponsor for a hole or sponsor for the event itself. And the sponsorships range from $500 to $3,000. And I'm looking for sponsors. So if any of you know companies, people, whoever would like to sponsor, I have the forms right here with me. Or you can send me an email and I'll send the form to you. And Landmark has already signed up. just for your information.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right, thank you. Other comments online? Public comments on items not on the agenda? All right, moving on to town manager's report.
Fletcher. So the Lister's office reported the abstract will be filed tomorrow. The letters will go out to property owners reflecting the new assessment values. Grievances will be scheduled, the week of July 29 through July 31st from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Once the grand list is lodged after grievances, we will wait for the education tax to come down from the state. Because we can't get that until they have our grand list number. It appears the earliest tax bills might be sent August 12th. So normally, the third Friday of August is when tax bills, the first tax payment is due. So we're not gonna make that date. So if we can get the tax bills out August 12th or sooner, realistically, there might be a due date in September. But at this point, there's no guarantee. We're gonna hope that the state can turn around a tax rate for the town. What I don't wanna do is send out 2 tax bills and have confusion.
Yeah.
And all these overpayments or underpayments.
Yeah, underpayments would be, you have to, and if people get a second tax bill, they're gonna wonder why. So if the first payment's due in September, November would be the 2nd, and then February's the 3rd. So I think we're gonna be okay, in between payments. I would get a little nervous if it's beyond September 13th, but
Okay.
we'll know more. In
Yeah.
probably 2 weeks, I can update the board.
Okay.
All right. We did order our tax bill paper.
Good.
So I don't think it's come yet, but I could be mistaken. So current use change of allocation will also be mailed tomorrow. Grievances for those will be on July 31st. Okay, so the listers are gonna be busy. I also think,
There's the BCA training. Did
yes,
everybody have a chance to, because we're all the part of the BCA. Have a
yes,
chance to review that.
so you're gonna be part of the process.
And most likely there will be some BCA
Yeah.
hearings this year.
Right. So the pre-grievance 411, Jordy did give me a copy of it. So the increase in values is at least 50% on the
That
grand
makes
list.
Yeah, it totally tracks.
So
Okay.
in the beginning, he thought it was 30, but it's 50%.
Yeah.
So
50% overall.
Over the last one.
yeah, increase.
Okay.
Yeah. On the bottom line of assessments total. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. Well, you'll know anyway, you're gonna be going to the meetings, so you'll have a handle on
Yeah.
how many and how busy you will be.
I'm glad they got it done.
Me too. It took Jordy a little bit,
Yeah.
the transfer was a little,
Yeah.
we had to jump through some
Technical
hoops,
glitches,
but
yeah.
but we worked through it and he's comfortable and it's getting done.
Good.
So. I met with the fire and EMS folks last evening at the fire department. Evan Martin, Billy Strauss, Daniel Garcia Galili, Brian Harlow, Lenny Howard, and Eric McGowan was there. EMS has a plan they presented to the interim chief. There's some information and confirmation they are waiting on. Once they have that, they will prepare a model plan for EMS to move forward.
That they'll present to us, I assume.
We discussed transitioning, training, purchasing medical supplies, and communicating as being key moving forward. The interim chief, myself, plan to meet with EMS folks again on July 17th. We expect a written model plan to be available to the select board prior to the July 24th meeting. I just want to say I appreciate folks on EMS and their effort. I understand, a lot of hours went into discussions, between 40 and 60 on their own time. So, and they brought forward a plan, so I really do appreciate the work on this. And it's positive, and we're working through it. I also want to shout out to Pam King. As we were all leaving the watch room through the meeting space last night, we noticed the floor was wet. So Pam was down there, she had mopped the floor and she was cleaning the bathroom. So I just want to say thank you, Pam King, for keeping the place looking tidy. We talked about getting estimates to paint, because there's some work that was done on the walls and it just needs a fresh coat of paint, and I think it's gonna shine.
Okay.
But also, as I was leaving the parking lot, I was shocked at all the vehicles parked from the north end to the south end of the station. And as I passed the open bay doors, folks were moving about in the equipment bays. It was a good sight to see. The place was alive with activity. And I want to thank everyone for their dedication and time that they're putting into this department. That parking lot was full, and those people were busy. They were, trucks were out and people were just scurrying around inside, and it was alive again. So I'm pretty proud that what they're doing down there. So. And Brian and Lenny are working through ESO.
Which stands for, can you remind me again?
It's some I don't.
Oh, the software, it's a software.
It's a software program that they use for
So they're getting a handle on that.
tracking time and calls,
Okay.
and, but they're working through it. So I think it's been good,
Okay.
so.
And they're serving up the community supper.
Oh, yeah, the
That's
Putney
right,
Fire
that's
Department
right.
is hosting the community supper this Friday, July 12th, at Next Stage. Dinner starts at 5:30. I'm gonna be there, and if any of you select board members, because if they get called out,
You're saying
They're
we're the backup meal planners?
yes, we're the backup. Yeah.
Backup firefighters.
But no, I would encourage anyone to go to Next Stage tomorrow night for dinner and support. Friday night.
Whatever.
So, yeah. One last announcement, I have a new administrative assistant in the office,
Yay.
Lisa Stidell. Lisa started Monday and seems to be fitting in nicely. She is detailed oriented, and I gave her a project. She rolled with it. She's not afraid to pick up the phone or ask questions. So,
Okay, what's her name again?
Lisa.
Lisa. Well, welcome, Lisa.
Yes. So, I almost feel like, some of that, pressure is like, it's gonna start filtering,
Good.
So, give her a little time, but I think it's gonna work out really well. So that's all I have.
Okay. Fletcher?
Karen, in the fire department process, is anybody looking at those new OSHA rules?
We talked about those, so,
This looked like a catastrophe to me.
yeah, so we'll get through that too.
Nothing a whole lot of money won't fix.
we're not gonna be the only town in that situation,
I know.
so,
I think half the towns in the state are gonna be
right.
up a creek.
Well, that's probably a conversation with the state of Vermont.
I think it's the
Want to get me
feds.
started?
My own cat heard she's retired.
Yeah. She has connections, so. But no, it is gonna be a challenge, Fletcher. We were sort of warned of that with the AP trading
Yeah.
process. So, nationally, fire departments are gonna be challenged. So, we'll do the best we can and try to plan, and that's all we can do, right?
You can't get blood out of a stone. There's only so much we can squeeze out of it.
That's right. So, yeah, we are aware of the changes. So,
Other questions about the town manager's report on the select board? In the room?
I was just gonna ask if VOSHA actually has any more authority, because I know they're much easier to work with than OSHA.
I don't know
And
how to
their
structure
goal is to work with people instead of dinging them. And I just wondered if that's a possibility. I have no idea.
Yeah. Does anybody know how the structure works? OSHA versus OSHA.
I don't know, I'm gonna have to get my head around it, but, well,
You'll get your
Part of
head
the-
around it and then
it's
we'll know.
part of the process,
Yeah.
right? We'll
Yeah.
figure it out and, ask questions and utilize, other folks and see what happens.
Okay. Any questions online about the town manager's report, comments? Moving on to boards, committees, and commissions, which is the planning commission status report, which is Sue.
Good evening, everyone, and Madam Chair, and everyone online. So this is my monthly Planning Commission Chair's report, and it is somewhat brief and related to an action later in the agenda. The primary focus, or the biggest amount of time for the Planning Commission over the past several weeks, has been to receive proposals for the Housing Needs Assessment Action Plan, as well as for the zoning bylaw modernization project. We did receive very good proposals, and we had a consultant selection team that reviewed them, conducted interviews, checked all the references, and in the end recommended to the Planning Commission that we hire Camoin Associates, which has done a lot of this type of work for housing needs assessment in communities in Vermont and around, to do that work. Their bid came in just under the $50,000 for the project, $49,725, and we'll be recommending the Planning Commission recommends the Select Board approve a contract with them for the period of July 11th through January 31st to develop and produce a housing needs assessment action plan. We also we received 2 proposals for housing needs assessment. We selected that one. We received 3 proposals for the zoning bylaw modernization, which was surprising. We were concerned we might not have any, but we did have 3, and like the housing needs assessment, they were all very good. And in the end, through our process, we selected and recommend the Wyndham Regional Commission. We were actually quite pleased that they did provide a proposal. We were hoping they would, for $54,873, which is under, again, the total $55,000 for the project, to begin in July, and in this case, end in November 2025. They had asked for an additional 3 months to the 12 months that we had proposed. And the reason for that is they felt that the public engagement really did need more time, especially needing time for select board hearings to review and approve the regulations, and allowing time, should revisions be needed, to do another hearing. They're quite experienced. We listened to what they had to say and said, let's build in the additional 3 months. And then we added another month to the contract beyond that, just to allow ourselves not to have to make a contract extension should something come up. But we felt that it was a very good proposal, and we feel like we'd be getting tremendous expertise and the benefit of people who understand and know what is needed today and even what is evolving for zoning regs, because as we'll be finishing in 2025 is another legislative season that'll be upon us, and there could be further changes. So that is our recommendation, and that relates to an item later to approve contracts, but I did try to make that easier for you based on feedback at our last meeting, and what's in a square section here on the front page of my report could be the basis for a motion when you come to approving the contracts for your consideration. So once that is done, we are ready to begin the work in earnest. We will get our advisory committees re-engaged and move forward. So that is the report on housing needs assessment. On the town hall renovation, at the last meeting, I reported that the town hall renovation development team, which is myself, town manager, and Lisa Papazian, as the executive director of the Putney Historical Society, a tenant for the upstairs, that we had learned that it would be better for us to withdraw our grant for planning, for the town hall detailed planning, and to instead use the ARPA funding. So the town approved for this. So we did actually go ahead, and we have been working on that. So this is sort of the latter part of this report. I'll come back to one other element, but we have been busy drafting and preparing to distribute RFPs for architectural services and for development manager services. We found ourselves in looking at that. So we're going from sort of high-level planning, initial planning, to detailed planning. And when you go into detailed planning, you begin to think of everything at a more granular level. And what came for us is in writing the RFPs, we really needed to be clear about the roles and responsibilities of everyone involved. So we started mapping that out. What is the role of the select board? What is the role of the town manager that is different from this development committee? What is the role of that development committee? Who should be on it? It's been the three of us. What is the role of the architect? What is the role of development manager? So we've been creating a concept of what that looks like based on what other towns have done and what makes sense for Putney. So at the next meeting, we plan to prepare to share that with you for your comment. But we found that to write the RFPs, you really needed to think about the whole process and who was involved in what roles. So we're working on that. We're also drafting, because it relates to all of that, a high-level stakeholder engagement plan. We won't have the detailed dates, but what will be the activities and purpose and outcomes of that. So we'll be providing that for comment also at the next meeting. So we've moved in to the more detailed planning, and it showed itself that those were really important to know. So we wanted to give you that update, and the RFPs will be ready to go out soon. The money has already been allocated to do that, so we plan to get those out as soon as possible. As a reminder, we're trying to get detailed planning done so that we have drawings and a feasibility assessment of what we can do with the funding we can raise, so that we can access ARPA funds or other federal funds that will expire and have to be spent by the end of 2026 for construction. So we're giving to feel like that's not a lot of time. And importantly, one grant that I also mentioned here is the Municipal Energy Resilience Program, MERP, which has the potential to provide up to $500,000 of funding for energy efficiency and resilience measures, including associated repairs to a building. We had the basis for receiving that grant, and the grant program hasn't rolled out yet, but it will quite soon, maybe August or September, is you need to have a energy audit done by a state qualified contractor. So Building Services has a group of consultants. They did an energy audit back in December. We got the energy audit in April. When we reviewed it, we found it was highly flawed. It only looked at the first floor, didn't consider the second floor. And a number of other issues. I have a background in energy efficiency, and I was able to identify a few things. And also they didn't understand that the building is a historic building, and it has to be done to maintain historic preservation principles as well. So we finally got the feedback to them. Wyndham Regional Commission is to be appreciated. To the state, which asked the firm to redo the study. They're redoing it. Based on some of the data we gave them about the HVAC for the whole building, we would hope that the audit report would recommend that the measures were more like 500,000 versus 94,000 of what they came up in the first place. We have no idea where it will come out, but we've done our very best to provide the feedback, get attention, and get a revised report. We're going for it, and I hope that in August we will have an opportunity to write a significant grant for the renovation. Hence, it's really important to get the architectural services and all of that on board. So we're racing as fast as we can to get it done, but being very thoughtful about it, and we want to bring you further into the discussion at the next meeting as we develop those materials. So those are the two big items. Since I last met with you, there has been some work, some conversations on Planning Commission member recruitment. So there are a couple of conversations going on. So we're moving that along as well. That is my report. And as I said, if there's anything you want to ask me about the contracts when that comes up for approval, of course, will be here. I'll stay here for that. Any questions?
So do the revisions to the zoning bylaw need to be approved by the town meeting?
Not the town meeting, by the select board, and there'll be a hearing process, public hearing held by the select board, supported by the planning commission for that. So it's not a town meeting issue, it's a select board hearing issue.
So it's one or two hearings, I forget.
Excuse
Is it
me?
one or two hearings that we have for those?
It may be, I think it's one hearing unless there are amendments that need to be made,
Right.
and the amendments would need to be brought forward in a second.
Yes.
Which is why Wyndham Regional Commission was saying give it more time,
Sure.
because there might need to be a second
Yeah.
hearing.
I had a question about, I think originally the hope was to have one company do both.
That's right.
So I guess we abandoned that, because it does seem they, didn't Camoin do, oh no, they didn't.
Camoin
I
did
guess none of
actually.
them did,
Yes,
except for the one that, okay.
that's right. And we were very pleased to see that actually. But we also looked at each proposal relative to our needs. So we wanted them to be, if they could be, under one house.
Sure.
And it was really interesting to see how Camoin then partnered with Weston and Sampson to be able to bring that in, to do it as a combined project. You see them listed separately because Weston and Sampson was a partner on the zoning. And VHB provided proposals for both. But the idea was for internal coordination. And in the end, we felt that Camoin had the best services on housing. We gave a lot of thought to hiring Weston Sampson with Camoin, but we also felt that when we looked at the proposals, clearly Wyndham Regional already knew what we needed better, and they understood the public engagement that we needed better. And so we walked away from the interviews, and actually reference checks as well were influential to say that they have a leg up on what's going on in Vermont, and so they could spend even more time in the public engagement process. And you probably all read in the paper about the fiasco in Londonderry, 6 years to develop zoning regs, and it failed.
Yeah.
And the whole planning commission resigned. I mean, it was a disaster. And that speaks loudly to not only what is in it, but how you involve the community when you develop it. So we felt that somebody who knew Putney, knew the regs, and is ready to work with another firm would be probably the best result. And we did thank the firms who provided both proposals for that. And frankly, we did not know that Wyndham Regional was going to give us a proposal. At one point in April, I was told they weren't. And I didn't panic, but I did get the message out that we needed other proposals. So when they came in, we also felt that that was very welcome. So thank you for that question. We did actually think about it and tried on the idea of working with another firm, and then we
I
decided.
think you guys did that process, I just wanted to hear it.
Well, I mean, I just want you to know
Yeah.
that it was
Yeah.
what we intended, but we felt
Yeah.
this was the best package for the
Yeah.
town.
Okay. And we definitely don't want you guys to resign, so please.
So, thank you.
All right. Again, thank you very much for this, the work that you've been doing and this report. Does the select board have any questions? Does anybody online have any questions or comments for Sue? In the room? Okay, then moving on to, let's see, Selectboard New Business, we have, we're going to become the sewer and water commissioners for a request for increase in allocation from, how do you pronounce that, Jada? Karen,
Oh, sorry.
how do you pronounce that?
Katie might be able to pronounce it.
Katie, are you online?
Trida? Trida?
Okay.
It's Barat. I can tell that's his first name.
So this is for, so Katie's not, so, cause she's the applicant, right?
Yes.
So
this is
landowners, this is for the, childcare center.
Child Care Center, which is the old Putney Inn building.
Okay.
Not the rest of the property, it's just the old Putney Inn building. So Katie came to us back in February
Yeah.
and asked for an allocation and a connection for water and sewer of 1,802 gallons per day. She is now adding 30 more children to her program and more staffing.
Yeah.
So she's asking for an increase in water and, of course, sewer.
Right.
She's now asking for 2,600 gallons per day, which is, what is it, 900 gallons difference? I don't know. It's on your, I gave you a little cheat sheet there, Eileen.
Okay.
Your motions.
Where did, oh, that's what this says.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little
All right.
description there.
Okay. So the description says an increase in allocation for water and sewer due to anticipated increase at the childcare center from 30 to 60 children in the program with meals, and anticipating staff increase from 8 to 20 with meals. Total ERU will be 12 from 7. The sewer is metered. Okay, so does the select board have any questions about this increase?
So we have capacity and they are current with their billing, so, and payments, so.
What's our capacity look like going forward? How future-proofed are we for future development?
I can't answer that question.
If I had a crystal ball, this job would be easy. That kind of person.
I can tell you that combined, we're probably at 65,000 gallons per day. We are permitted for 110,000 gallons per day.
For which one, sewer or water?
So that's both combined, that's both combined.
Okay.
So, right, it will become a challenge if we add more housing. The biggest challenge is adding like businesses. We do have to do a 20-year evaluation analysis on our system. And I think we're gonna be doing that within the next 2 years, so. We're gonna have to start that process now. So I'll be talking with the contractor. I talked with them a little bit, but I definitely need to have their expertise. And We're probably looking at grants to do the work.
Possibly grant student study
Yep.
too, right?
Yes.
Any other questions? Any questions in the room? Sue?
I'll just note that relative to water and sewer capacity, then when we do the housing needs assessment, when we look at the amount of housing that we need and make an assessment of what the water sewer requirements of some of it were in the area of the service area of water and sewer, what that would be, just to inform planning on that. So we won't be answering the question of capacity, but we'll try to look at if we had more housing, what impact could that have, just so that could be considered
Right.
in the feasibility study about the water. Well, actually, both the sewer capacity, sewage treatment plant capacity and repair, but also the need for a second well.
Right.
Yeah, that's part of that whole study.
Okay. All right, thank you. Are there comments online about this increase? Okay, so hearing none, let's, so there's a motion here to approve the, can I hear a motion to approve the water allocation increase? This is the water allocation, so can we, move to here, can I hear a motion to approve the water allocation increase for the old Putney Inn building located at 55 Putney Landing Way from 1802 to 26 gallons per day? Second, affirmative, so moved.
2,600.
2,600. That's another zero. 2,600, okay. Did you second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the water allocation increase for the old Putney Inn building located at 55 Putney Landing Way from 1,802 to 2,600 gallons per day. Any further discussion on that piece? Any comments in the room? Any comments online? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then can I hear a motion to approve the sewer allocation for the old Putney Inn building located at 55 Putney Landing Way from 1,802 to 2,600 gallons per day?
So
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the sewer allocation increase for the old Putney Inn building located at 55 Putney Landing Way from 1,802 to 2,600 gallons per day. Any further discussion among the board? Any discussion, any comments in the room, questions in the room, any comments online? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that should make them very happy. I know they've been working on that for a while. Okay, so the next piece is the Housing Needs Assessment and Action Plan Consultant Service Contract Review and Approval. We've already had a presentation by Susan. Do we have any further questions on those?
So I'm comfortable with this contract
Okay,
as written, so I recommend approval.
okay. And you said, okay, you did write some stuff down here. Okay, so this is the Housing Needs Association, assessment. Okay, so can I hear a motion to approve the contract to Carmoine Associates for $49,725 for the period of July 11th, 2024 to January 31st, 2025 to assist the Planning Commission to develop and produce a housing needs assessment and action plan?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to award the contract to Carmoine Associations for $49,725 for the period of July 11th, 2024 to January 31st, 2025 to assist the Planning Commission to develop and produce a housing needs assessment and action plan. Any discussion among the board? Any comments in the room? Any comments online? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, and the next one is the zoning bylaw, modernization consultant service contract review and approval. Karen, you're good with that one too?
Yes, I'm comfortable with the contract as written.
Okay. So can I hear a motion to approve the contract to Wyndham Regional Commission, otherwise known as WRC, for $54,873 for the period of July 11th, 2024 to November 30th, 2025 as expert consultants to assist the Planning Commission to develop, produce, and support for select board adoption updated Putney zoning bylaws, including subdivision regulations.
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract to Wyndham Regional Commission for $54,873 for the period July 11th, 2024 to November 30th, 2025 as expert consultants to assist the Planning Commission to develop, produce, and support for select board adoption updated Putney zoning bylaws, including subdivision regulations. Any comments on the board? Questions? Karen?
Friendly amendment,
Yeah.
can you authorize town manager to sign it?
Sure. Do we have to do that one for the other one too?
Or I can just sign it, I can just sign it.
Yeah. I don't know if we have to actually say that. Could I have a friendly amendment to have her sign both contracts?
Good.
Okay, good to go. All right,
Thank you.
any further discussion? Where was I? No comments in the room. Any comments online? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
It's getting even hotter in here, Karen.
Yeah, I know, it's very warm in here.
Whew. All right, the next piece
Renovation.
is a procedure appointment.
Here. Maybe you have to do the Japanese thing and just get our little fans out. Everybody's
So
passing
relaxing,
out. Sorry.
As we all get ready.
All right, the next piece is the health officer appointment.
So in your packet is a form for town health officer and a deputy town health officer. And there's an oath too. I think at one point I had sent these folks to like the role and responsibility of the health officer.
Yeah.
We did put a post out, ask for anyone to, if they wanted to volunteer, but I really think it's hard to get volunteers, and this particular position should have somebody appointed, as we do have, situation in town right now.
Mhm.
And we will have others, so appointing someone sooner than later would be ideal.
Okay.
I haven't seen a letter of interest, but there is somebody in the room that did express some interest, and I'm wondering if that person would like to speak to that.
I'd be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to. It would be nice to find somebody else to,
How to do it. Or help
yeah,
or
just to
something.
help,
Sure.
depending
Have a
on who you get
deputy.
into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody else wants to.
They're not breaking out.
I think that's great if you're willing to do it. Anybody else have any questions or concerns about that?
No, I think it's great.
Are we gonna make him fill out this form, or can we just appoint him?
I think we can appoint him and we can fill it out.
Okay.
And, there is training too,
Sure.
so we can make sure that, we have a contact to the state now, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it would be a wise decision.
All right, good. Any comments in the room about that first potential appointment? Having Eric be the health officer for the town?
For
Anybody
some
else?
reason, I can't raise my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
So I'm always going to be this person, and I'm so sorry because it's not about Eric, but Eric owns a lot of properties in town right now. And has hesitated to recuse himself on situations. I'm curious how it's going to work with him being the health officer when it comes to his properties.
I would have to recuse myself.
I mean, I think we're gonna run into that no matter who we have. I hear that concern. I'm not as concerned about that as other, issues. We all own property in town. I mean, we don't all own property in town, but a lot of us own property. Laura, hold on, I'm talking. Laura, I'm still talking to you, thank you.
Sorry.
So, I mean, if there's specific concerns, maybe you can write them up and we can talk about them in executive session, but that seems, if there are issues, if we have issues, we can unappoint people. I'm gonna just put it that way. So if it becomes an issue and people start pushing back, I would say that, yeah, that would be a problem. But we've been looking for somebody for quite some time, and the fact that he owns property really shouldn't matter. Go ahead, Karen.
I'd be willing to stand up for the deputy town health officer until one can be appointed.
So you would be the deputy.
Right, and if he's got a conflict, then I would.
Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
That totally satisfies my concerns. As long as there's as long as Eric is not acting as the health officer for his rentals.
Yeah. Makes sense. Go ahead, Jeanette.
I was asking Karen if I could say this or not.
So, don't ask me, ask the chair.
But Chair, can I say? So
I don't know.
This is just when you said, do we need to talk to the state? And I said, don't look at me.
Yeah.
This is one of the ironies of what was just passed, this terrible municipal ethics bill. And I don't know if you know what happened, but they repealed the current statute that says towns have to have a conflict of interest and a code of ethics policy.
Mm-hmm.
They repealed that as of passage of the bill, which was the end of May. There is nothing that allows you to have a conflict of interest policy until January.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
right, they do, yeah, there's like a big gap.
There's a big gap there, so you don't even have one.
Sure, but we can still act in good faith.
You could act in good
Yeah.
faith, yes. I'm just saying that that's one of the ironies of the legislation, that horrible piece of legislation that was passed.
They did.
Did I?
That was said, but go ahead.
Did I say horrible piece? But yes, it was.
You did, in fact, and I have a second on that one. There were, like I said before, there are parts to that bill that I like, but most of it, it was not well thought out, and they ignored most of the towns that testified.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they think is going to happen on that one, but it's not going to probably go well. Anyway, we're off topic now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So we have a recommendation to appoint Eric as the town health officer, with Karen being the deputy town health officer. So I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna ask for that motion.
So
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to recuse yourself on this, or
Yeah,
abstain from this
absolutely.
vote. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to appoint Eric as the town health officer, with Karen being the deputy health officer. Is there further discussion among the board? Comments in the room? Further comments online? Laura, since you can't raise your hand, do you have any other comments?
No, just thank you.
All right, great. So hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Or, sorry. Can't oppose. All right.
Thank you, Laura, for being concerned about me again.
All right, moving on to, okay, so oops, sorry about that. is what happens when you're on
That's the-
vacation,
no,
and
no.
everything just falls apart.
That's the, daughter that bypasses all the holes.
I gotcha. All right, so we're moving the labor agreement for town manager and the, actually, we still have Putney Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee status, which has your name on it. Peg, do you have anything to say about it? Okay.
And we got that fountain for
Yeah, with the fountains.
You missed the most important part of the
I
meeting.
am so sorry.
Town floor purchase.
Everybody's waiting for the fountain. I am so sorry. Oh
Our
my
children.
gosh. Moving back up to town pool purchases, water fountain and vacuum from special revenue account. Karen.
So I'm gonna table the vacuum for now because we found out the one we were looking at is just not gonna handle the size of our pool.
Unless he refuses himself on his own properties.
Hello, Mary.
Hi, Mary. Can you mute yourself?
So in your packet is a photograph of a fountain we are looking at. It is $4,550.85. And I would recommend that we spend the money from the special revenue account that we set up for the fundraising. And so it was the pool revitalization fund. There's $33,229.05 in there. This fountain, which is a bottle filler and a fountain, will mount right to the wall. And we can probably, most likely, put it in the same spot as the existing fountain.
Nice.
So I would like to move forward with the board's blessing to purchase this and hopefully have it set up.
Tonight, right?
Right.
And I know it's under 5,000 and we did look around.
Yeah.
Some are at 7,000. And we looked at indoor water fountains, which will be good when we renovate this
Yeah.
building. But this is the one that we're choosing because we think it's going to fit and it will work.
Okay.
Okay?
Have we decided on a color?
Okay.
Wait, isn't the color here? Evergreen.
Evergreen?
Evergreen?
That's what it says right here, evergreen.
Okay.
I'm going with it.
I like green,
Okay.
Vermont green. We got it.
Did you give me a motion for this one?
Oh,
No. All right, that's okay. I can stumble through it. Can I hear a motion to approve the purchase of a water fountain for the amount of $4,550.85?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of a water fountain for the amount of $4,550.85. Any comments in the room? Any comments online? This is for the pool. Any further discussion by the board? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, now we can
Thank you.
down to the Putney Fire, Putney Fire Advisory Committee, do you have anything so far?
No,
Okay.
except I assume we will have a discussion in executive session about a proposal for a facilitator.
Okay. Okay, so moving next to Selectboard,
May I
sorry,
ask
go
a
ahead.
question about that? So my concern is, and I don't know if this is a concern or not, but in Karen's report, and I could have asked it then, but it seemed more appropriate under this. In Karen's report, the EMS, there is a plan to go forward with EMS. And I think that the right people were there that did that. But I guess my question is, how does that, because this task force was charged with looking at Putney Fire and Rescue, how does, if that plan is gonna be presented at the July 24th meeting, how does that fit with the task force report? Or does the task force accept that report because you've already accepted it and then just deal with the fire department?
My
Sign.
understanding is this is an interim process with any EMS to stand them back up while we work on the longer term issues. Is that
Can
I mean,
I,
that's, go ahead.
can I make a comment?
Yeah.
As I'm talking with the folks in the department, and they're spending a lot of time, they're doing a lot of good work right now. I feel, in my opinion, that it's a model. It's a model that may need to be considered by the committee.
Could be, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would, and I mean, of course, like any model that we approved, the committee would consider it. I mean, I assume the committee's gonna consider different models, all different models, and including whatever models that are currently existing in town.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't assume, and it's a good question, Jeanette, I wouldn't assume that a model that we approve right now is necessarily an agreement to a long-range plan until that committee has a chance to look at
Right.
the big picture.
Okay, I just was curious, because I wasn't sure if, because I think that the right people were involved in the conversation, and so.
I think a lot of those people are on.
And some of those people will be on the committee.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
And it'll be a public, I mean, it's an open meeting law process, so.
Right.
I assume I hope those people will come to comment on whatever the committee's working on.
well, and they were, I mean, Billy Strauss is on the committee. I don't think Evan is,
No.
but Billy is, and,
Daniel's on the committee too,
yeah, and he is,
Yeah,
and Brian,
yeah,
Brian,
right.
so, good, okay, it was just a question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a reasonable question.
Do we have any sense of timing of that task force?
Tonight, right?
Hopefully no more tonight.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
We're
Yes.
we're waiting.
After
on-
you says it out.
Yeah.
okay.
It's, we were waiting for the world traveler to come back.
I encouraged you to move on without me,
Well,
but here we are, and we'll hopefully.
can I just say too that, so as I was working through looking for a facilitator, I talked to like 6 different people.
Right.
6 different people, and 4 of them were very well versed in the language of fire department and EMS. And everyone, their bandwidth is so stretched, they couldn't commit themselves and feel like they were gonna do a good job. So they declined.
Yeah, and
But
we're not the only community chatting on this.
No, I appreciate, their honesty too, so.
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll get moving.
yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
that's the idea. Are there other comments, Nora? On the fire and rescue advisory committee? Online? Okay. All right, so next we're going to Selectboard Reports, Cannabis Control Board process.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Selectboard operating principles and review.
Pass over BNC.
Okay. Controlling the use of alcoholic beverages on town property. So I did some preliminary searching on this, and it turns out that pretty much every single town has the same policy written in, say, 1976, 1978. So that told me that, if it's not broke, don't fix it to some extent. I did reach out to VLCT. They don't have anything more modern. So I'm a little bit at a loss as to where I could find anything. I'm not sure. I guess we can talk about it in our work session. I don't know if there's anything that we need to modernize on it. Maybe the language a little bit, the typeface maybe.
You're right.
Update the logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Where did this come up?
Why
did I miss something?
I think it came up because we were talking about
The ball field?
the ball field
Right.
and alcoholic consumption up there as well with the event permit. Our
Oh,
event permit
right,
has some,
And it's town property.
and it's town property now. So it was sort of like, you know, do we need to update this policy in order to accommodate the modern age?
Margaritas.
Right, exactly. In a can. So that's where I'm at right now, on that one. The other one that I wanted, that's been percolating in my head is a, possibly standing up a I don't know what to call it, but an alternative transportation committee. Cause we've got a lot of money coming through with, what was that grant? That we just got, again, Margot sent.
Oh,
email
that's the
about-
MERP grant.
No, I think there was another one.
there was
The other one.
There was a
Yeah,
transportation
The
one.
transportation one,
Yeah.
that's
And she
right.
was talking about how we could combine communities as well.
That's right, on that one.
And that sounds really exciting, but I don't have the bandwidth to just, you know, come up with some awesome thing. And so I'm hoping that, because we moved the energy efficiency piece off to the Housing Advisory Committee, if we can, split the other piece that the Energy Committee was supposed to be charged with to, focus on transportation. So I'm thinking about, I'm just percolating that. If anybody else wants to take that one on, that's fine, but go ahead.
I agree, something is needed. And I would say that we also have a potential opportunity that Wyndham Regional just brought to our attention as well, to share an energy coordinator with another
What is
town.
Okay, is that what that was about?
Yes, it was about an energy coordinator.
Okay, I thought that was about the grant.
Well, there's several things going on. I mean,
There's a lot
so I won't,
more than
I didn't
energy
come prepared to give chapter and verse on it, but it does say in the town plan that we should share an energy coordinator. And I also looked through the town plan, this is based on exchange, Eileen brought this to my attention, that a lot of the needs that are beyond housing are really around municipal energy use.
Right.
And we don't have an energy coordinator for that. So sharing that with another town, and there are grants that would fund that,
Yeah.
I think is a great idea. And I wondered, when I wrote about it, if they could also possibly help us with EV charging, because that's what I was bringing up.
Yeah.
And I wrote that back to you all and said that we should explore it with Wyndham Regional Commission, I thought.
Yeah.
But Wyndham Regional Commission has made it clear that they need to hear from either the select board chair or the town manager. I can't initiate that conversation. You can begin it and then say Sue is delegated and I keep you in the loop.
Okay.
But I do think it's something very important that we should look at. It's part of our town plan, and we are understaffed, and it would be nice to share it with somebody who's looking at these issues in another town
Okay.
and supported by the regional commission.
All right. I think I missed that part of the conversation in the midst of everything else. But, so if that's the case, if they're looking for like the go-ahead from the likes of me, can we put that on just so that we have like the authorization of the entire board on the next meeting, the 24th? So we can kind of get going on that. Because it's a missing piece and it's just been lagging behind all the other pieces.
If you like, Eileen, I'll try to draft something up for you. That would be a scope. Okay.
That'd be great.
So are you talking about energy coordinator or?
We're talking about, that was,
I was wondering if the energy coordinator could take on municipal energy efficiency and renewables,
right.
but also looking at
And
EV
EV chargers.
infrastructure
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah.
That was as a funded position.
Yeah, let's talk offline on that one, because there's many pieces have been coming at me recently, so
Yes, let's
I've been
talk.
quite focused on that, but it's been on my mind. So,
Good.
anybody else have anything on the reports that hasn't made it to the reports? Does anybody have any questions on the select board reports online? Anybody in the room? Okay. We are going to have an executive session, but our next meeting is July 24th, 2024 at 5:30 at the town hall and on Zoom. We're gonna go into executive session under Title I VSA 313A3, which is the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, provided that the public body shall make a final decision to hire or appoint a public official or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decision during the open meeting. That's about Karen's contract. The other one is Title I VSA 313A1, which is contracts, which we'll be talking about the facilitator proposal for services. So can I hear a motion to go into executive session under Title I VSA 313A3 and A1, which is contracts?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session under Title I VSA 313A3 and A1. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? All right, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, we invited Karen in and we hope to have a decision on at least one of those.
We're all three.
Or all three, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so we are exiting executive session at 7:14. Can I hear a motion to enter into a 2-year contract with the town manager, Karen Astley? What's that say? Sorry. Effective. Let me start that over again. Can I hear a motion to enter into a 2-year contract with the town manager effective July 2024?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to enter into a 2-year contract with the town manager effective July 2024. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Second one is to enter into a contract with Cindy Jerome Consulting LLC not to exceed $3,500 unless agreed upon by both parties.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into a contract with Cindy Jerome Consulting not to exceed $3,500.
I think we should say what
Okay.
to facilitate.
To facilitate. Okay, so this is okay. Let's move. I didn't put that part in here. To facilitate. What are we calling that?
The
Fire and EMS committee.
no, we actually have this. We have
Advisory committee.
It's fire.
Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee.
You want to wait till all right. So, can I hear a motion to enter into a contract with Cindy Jerome Consulting to facilitate the Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee not to exceed $3,500 unless agreed upon by both parties?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to enter into a contract with Cindy Jerome Consulting to facilitate the Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee not to exceed $3,500 unless agreed upon by both parties. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next is to appoint Lenny Howard as the Highway Superintendent effective July 10th, 2024 with a 6-month probationary window.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Lenny Howard as the Highway Superintendent effective July 10th, 2024 with a 6-month probationary window. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks, everybody.